This is the Barbados Today evening news for Monday, May 28th. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Our top story this evening, Prime Minister Mia Mottley is giving assurances that government is committed to preserving the Barbados dollar. Mottley was speaking after a 3-hour-long meeting of the Social Partnership this morning. She says a second round of talks will be held on Friday as the new administration seeks to stabilize the economy.
After Friday's meeting, I will make a statement to the country so that I can contextualize where the country is at that stage and where the social partnership indeed is with respect to what we have to do. What I can say clearly is that all of us, each of us, is absolutely committed to the country's fixed exchange rate and the preservation of the value of the Barbados dollar.
And Chairman of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Charles Herbert, says he is satisfied with the discussions so far.
We're very satisfied and we're very impressed by the urgency at which matters are being dealt with.
General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, said she welcomed meaningful engagement among the participants.
From the BW's perspective, the meeting was refreshing from the perspective that we got to engage very meaningfully on a number of issues that will define our course throughout the coming weeks and months.
One regional economist says Prime Minister Mia Mottley will have to move swiftly to improve the economy as Barbados is facing a possible balance of payment crisis. Marla Ducaran told Barbados Today the new government's first order of business will be stopping the hemorrhaging of the economy by shoring up the international reserves. Ducaran was in Barbados to witness last Thursday's election. She says the Mottley administration will have to cut spending and consider entering into an IMF-supported fiscal adjustment program. At the end of March, the central bank reported that the fiscal deficit was lowered to 4.2% from 5.7%, and reserves stood at only 6.9 weeks of import cover, or $423 million. A leading political scientist says the Democratic Labour Party's preoccupation with narrow economics and a lack of humanity in its messages contributed to its loss in last week's election. The Barbados Labour Party won all 30 seats in the May 24 poll, leaving the DLP without a representative in Parliament. Head of the UWI's Department of Government, Sociology and Social Work, Dr. Tennyson Joseph, told Barbados Today the party failed to move its message beyond mere economic figures to broader social concerns that would give people hope.
Imagine the party in government is putting out a manifesto, and in the manifesto they are saying things like, we did not cut salaries. We did not ask you to pay fees at the hospital. Is that what you put in the manifesto? The only reason why you put that in the manifesto is because of the narrow economism. And therefore, there was nobody in the DLP, including the Prime Minister, who said anything to change that language. And therefore, by the time you notice what the DLP did, the DLP moved the language beyond that narrow economism. So although a lot of what they were discussing had to do with stabilizing the economy and so forth, they were talking about broader developmental things, broader humanistic things. They were introducing social democracy back into the language. And the DLP could not respond to that. And I think the country itself had reached a stage where even the narrow economism was failing because their response was to tax the population. Their response was not to give anybody any hope that they could do anything differently. And what you saw in that result was a mass popular revolt.
As far as the DLP's future, Joseph says the party must now cleanse itself of the ghost of the leader, Frendel Stewart, and shift its philosophy back to the social democracy of the founder and former Prime Minister, Errol Barrow.
A party listening to itself cannot grow because you need to listen to alternative voices. Don't treat people like enemies. Open your heads to what they say and try to incorporate their recommendations, even if it is sharp and critical, but it is valid, and incorporate it into how you define your mission forward. And I think that's what they need to do in the months ahead, very, very quickly. But they need to also cleanse themselves of the ghost of Frendel Stewart.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. St. Kitts and Nevis says it is committed to amending its laws to address European Union's concerns over preferential tax regimes. The statement comes after Basse-Terre and the Bahamas were removed from the EU's list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions last weekend. A statement from Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris says government will seek to be compliant by year-end. The Council of the European Union said last week that the two CARICOM countries have made commitments at high political levels to address the EU's concerns. Trinidad and Tobago is now the only CARICOM country to remain on the OECD's list of non-compliant countries. And Trinidad and Tobago's Attorney General Faris Alwari says government is proceeding with plans to introduce anti-corruption legislation. Bills for explaining wealth and seizing assets are expected to be introduced to Parliament soon. But the opposition leader, Kamla Prasad Bisesar, says government has fallen behind on the issue. We get more in this report from TV6 News.
Anti-corruption laws are for naught if your system doesn't work. If you can't get to court, can't be in court, if you can't get a judgment, then obviously it's for naught.
The AG said the anti-corruption legislative package has already started in the Parliament.
You've seen that we've dealt with land in the House of Representatives, miscellaneous provisions to amend COCA, the Proceeds of Crime Act, to treat with money laundering, etc. But the big cornerstones are about to come to Parliament. Civil asset forfeiture, which is the Explain Your Wealth legislation, how we manage our laws of trusts, unmasking beneficial ownership. Those big items have just been completed in terms of national consultation, and therefore we are now ready to hit the Parliament on those matters.
He expects the population to be very interested in this.
I personally am extremely confident that this is what has been missing in Trinidad and Tobago's landscape to treat with not only corruption but crime and criminality.
When TV6 News spoke with the opposition leader on the matter on Sunday, we sought her assessment of the government's anti-corruption drive.
I've said the Honourable Attorney General is a very loquacious Attorney General. There is far more talk and far less action. We've been hearing of follow the money, follow the money, follow the money, I think from day one. And we are yet to see the legislation in the Parliament and or implement.
On the international scene, there's outrage over reports that the United States government has lost track of nearly 1,500 migrant children that it placed with sponsors, and there are calls for accountability from those responsible. We get the details in this Reuters report.
In April testimony that's only getting attention now, Department of Health and Human Services official Steve Wagner told a Senate committee that his department followed up with over 7,000 of the unaccompanied children it placed in care in 2017, but couldn't locate 1,475 of them. That revelation has sparked demands for action among some in Congress and an online campaign, with trending "Where are the children?" and "Missing children" hashtags. Wagner told the Senate that once the government places children with a sponsor, it no longer has legal responsibility for them. But there are growing fears that the missing children could fall into the hands of human traffickers. Concern for the lost children has been amplified because of the Trump administration's tougher border enforcement rules that will result in more children being separated from their parents. Under a new policy, anyone who crosses the border illegally, even those seeking asylum, will be prosecuted. And during that process, parents will have their children taken away from them. In his April testimony, Wagner said the Office of Refugee Resettlement is re-examining whether it should have legal responsibility for the children it places with sponsors.
That's news this evening. Remember, there's more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. There you can sign up for BT's WhatsApp alerts, and you can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and on Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Mary Claire Williams. Good evening.